Arts Plus Disability Accessible Arts logo. On screen, Carriageworks Arts Centre entrance and foyer. Text on screen, Arts Activated, Pathways to Practice 2016. Paul Ninari.
I think we're on the cusp of actually having more people with disability involved in that performance-based, that workspace. It's about obviously promoting, the capabilities of people with disability to the wider community.
Porrig Norton.
It is really important to create a space where people can engage and talk to each other and learn from each other. And I think the telling of stories assists people to understand either what they can achieve as artists with disabilities, but it also helps non-disabled people who are in leadership positions or who are working in the area of arts and disabilities to empathise and to support in a better way.
Lee Witzak.
We need to encompass people rather than building little fortresses that say you can't come in here because you're a bit different. The Australian film scene is so broad now and so developed and so brilliant in lots of ways. Why shouldn't we have another voice?
Chris Bunton.
I didn't focus on my disability during the show. I was focusing on my abilities, my nature, my speed, my timing, and the way I am training for my own gymnastics practices.
Rodney Bell.
There's many voices when I dance. Obviously you can see the wheelchair. I'm always collaborating and practicing with my chair first and foremost. So it becomes a trio when I'm working with other people.
Sancha Donald.
Artists with disability are being employed in the projects now, they're being paid. And what I see is that the sector is no longer providing really high quality projects, but in an isolated way. But it's much more collaborative, and I feel it's becoming a community of practice.
On screen, conference delegates move through a foyer space. Alex Jones, voiced by an interpreter.
People with disabilities working in a disability sector have the drive, they have the purpose, and they have the clarity of vision. If you have a very small representation of people with disabilities, then it might be a sense of we're not entirely sure where to go, we're not entirely sure which pathway to take. We need to have more conversations, we need to have more communication with other people with disabilities.
Prue Stevenson.
The biggest thing for me is conversations. I learn a lot through conversations, and I find that conversations always get passed on in a really organic way.
Mark Brew.
So I think it's important also to work with the artists that you have around you and the diversity of artists and art forms and how they can inform, the work and help to challenge the work to move forward. And especially having those conversations between institutions and education and deafly disabled artists, that's integral, especially to the growth of learning.
On screen, delegates pass a long table with refreshments. People are talking in groups. A man with glasses waves. A woman posts a coloured note on a wall. Kate Hood.
And my experience of becoming a wheelchair user and being a well-known member of the mainstream acting profession was that people just turned away from me. They couldn't see me doing anything on stage. And I think that's changing now.
Vicky Sowry.
When you start looking at unfixing assumptions about how people are in the world, about how they practice their art, then that's when things become possible and really can start to fly, and that's when it gets really exciting.
Daniel Monks.
Getting to act every day, getting to really do what I love and just be joyous every day with doing that. I'm living my dream, it's the best. I've never been happier.
Text on screen. Paul Ninari, Manager, Event Access and Inclusion, New South Wales Department of Premier and Cabinet. Porrig Norton, Keynote Speaker, CEO Arts and Disability, Ireland. Lee Witzak, Chairperson, Tutti Arts. Chris Bunton and Audrey O'Connor, Ruckus Ensemble. Rodney Bell, Performance Artist. Sancha Donald, CEO, Accessible Arts. Alex Jones, Director, Board Director, Accessible Arts. Prue Stevenson, Artist. Mark Brew, Keynote Speaker, Artistic Director, Mark Brew Company. Kate Hood, Artistic Director, Raspberry Ripple. Vicky Sowry, ANAT. Daniel Monks, Artist. Hugh Clark, filmmaker. Tammy Brennan, Communications Manager. Special thanks to Sarah Hobart, Strategic Projects Manager, members of the 2016 Conference Program Panel, all staff and conference volunteers, 2016 Conference Partner Arts Access Australia, 2016 Conference Sponsors New South Wales Family and Community Services, CarriageWorks, Australian Government Department of Social Services, Australian Council for the Arts, British Council, Sunny Haven Disability Services, Taxis Combined Services, The Deaf Society, Front Up, Vision Australia, Alphabet Studio. Produced by Accessible Arts. Arts Activated Pathways to Practice logo. www.arts.net.au/arts activated.